Yo, what is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about this Balisong right here, which is, in my opinion, a very special Balisong because this is something that could revolutionize entering into the hobby of Balisong flipping. Just because this is a budget trainer from Armchark, and if you haven't seen it already, this thing costs about $20, which is an insane price for what you're actually getting, and it could open like the doors to Balisong flipping for many people who maybe before did not enjoy it or like didn't want to spend maybe $50 on an Armchair Kraken to like start out flipping and still want something good to flip. So yeah, this thing is the Armshark Dangerous Wanderer. You got a blade that is a clone of Block's Toys Kraken Reblade that he's made like a long time ago. I think it's at least like 1 year old from like when he released it, maybe even more. It could be 2 years, I'm not sure. And the handles are modeled after Squiggle Kraken handles. They look a bit different, but the resemblance is definitely there. Like the original has like texturing on the top and the screws are a bit different and stuff, but the pattern is definitely like Squiggle inspired. So yeah, what's special about this, like I said, it costs $20 and it's a full steel Balisong. So the blade and the handles are made of steel, or like the scales. I'm not even sure you could call this handles because there's so little material. But honestly, this thing flips really good for what it is. If you like compare this to like cheap Chinese clones, which I think is a fair comparison, judging by the price and what this is made of, like full steel, this thing is actually really good because I don't know about you guys, but when I started flipping, like I started flipping on a Balisong like this, and these things are like, this is not the exact Balisong I started with, but this is something I bought because it's like a Valorant butterfly. But I started flipping a cheap Chinese Koom too, and these things are flippable, but hardly flippable actually. Like I wouldn't say this is a good way to start out flipping, but I did start with this thing, and after a week it was already broken. So after a week I had to buy my first actual trainer, and that 1 week was already enough time for me to decide that I do like this hobby and I'm going to stay in this hobby. I actually learned like a behind the 8 ball on a Balisong like this when I started out. But yeah, let's get rid of that. So this thing is pretty similar in like construction. As you can see, like it's got really thin scales or liners, you could say, on this thing. Actually, I think it's scales, yeah. It's got pretty thin scales, and that's just due to the fact that it's made of steel, and steel Balisongs are actually like really heavy, which maybe this thing looks really light to you, but this is actually just as heavy as this Balisong, which is actually considered a pretty heavy Balisong. So this one weighs 4.47 ounces and this one too. In grams, there's like a tiny difference where this one weighs like 126.8 and this one's 126.6. But this one actually flips really good for the weight that it has. I can do like all of my tricks on this thing, no problem. The build quality is pretty good for like being such a cheap Balisong, and the fact that it's so cheap is like mainly just due to the fact that it's made of steel, and I guess like making a Balisong out of steel costs way less than actually making one out of like aluminum or titanium. And yeah, if you can hear it, this Balisong is very bouncy. And this one's actually not mine. This is for a friend and classmate of mine who just wants to start off flipping. And like I said before, like for people like that who don't have any Balisongs yet and they want to start off flipping, but they're not even sure if they want to like stay in the hobby, if this is something that's fun for them, this Balisong is actually perfect because it doesn't have like a high price. So, you know, like for someone who just wants to start out, maybe $50 for Kraken clone is too much, and they're not sure if they want to like waste that money in a sense if they're not going to keep flipping. But this one, since it's like $20, $25, it's actually like the the price threshold, I guess you could say like that, for people like that is like way more acceptable than $50. So yeah, as you can see, it flips very nice. The tolerances are okay. It's got some play. I had a big headache tuning this thing because I wanted to like get a really good tune on this for my friend, but the problem I ran into was that the bushings that were in here were already tuned pretty much perfectly, and it still had tap. So when I sanded them down, I actually got binding in the handles, and unluckily the bushings that Armshark included were actually undersized out of the box. So I was left with no bushing and binding on the one safe handle. I didn't know what to do, but luckily Armshark Kraken bushings do fit in here. I just had to sand them down for a hell of a long time. Like I was sanding for 2 hours to reduce the bushing size from 3.24 millimeters, I think, to 2.88. And as luck would have it, the first time I did it, after 2 hours, I did not check enough. And there was one part of the bushing that was undersized, just like a little corner. And that was enough to like ruin all of the work I had done, and it started binding again. So I had to go ahead and do it all over again. So another 2 hours of sanding just to get this thing fixed up. And now we have it back into working mode. And it's basically just like it was before. It's got like some play. It's got some tap, but like nothing crazy. Like if you just shake it lightly, you don't hear anything. But yeah, once you start like shaking it a bit harder, you can hear the tap. But like, honestly, since it's like a sandwich Balisong, it's kind of hard to get the tap out of here. Like I could kind of compare this to a rep, where if you've ever tried tuning a rep, like those things are headache inducers. Like I don't know, I hate reps for that reason. I don't like tap on my bellies, and tuning a rep to like where it has no tap is like almost impossible. So yeah, for the fact that this thing costs $20, I guess like you can just keep it like this and not worry about the tap too much. But yeah, like I said, it sounds pretty well. It's got like a slight ring to it. It's very bouncy. It's got T10 hardware. It's got like some special kind of Zen pins, which are like a hybrid of regular Zen pins and rep Zen pins, because they're thicker in the middle, but they have like these little nubs on the side which fit into the scales. And typically on rep Zen pins you would have like screws that you put in here, but this one just is flat and they just stick in there. It's also got barrels on the end for weight probably, which work really well. And like I said, the balance is really nice. After a while of flipping, it starts hurting a little bit since it's so heavy, and the handles kind of do dig into your fingers since like the scales are so thin. But it's nothing like terrible. And like I said, if you compare this to like one of the cheap Chinese clones, like the Kumba I showed you earlier, this thing is actually really good. Like it compares, or you can't even really compare it, because this thing actually flips. Like you can do all of your tricks on this thing. And I would say like for learning new tricks, this thing is great. Like as a beginner, right? Like if you're more into the hobby and you're willing to spend more money, I'd definitely say like go with the Armshark Kraken over this. But just to like start out and stuff, or maybe like you want to add this to your collection because you think it looks cool, this thing is great because it does actually look cool. Like I love the look of squiggle handles, and the blade is really cool too. Like it's so nice that I actually have the original one here. This is like one of 5, actually confirmed by Block's Toys. He made only like 5 of these. And yeah, as you can see, like by comparison, I think the original Block's Toys blade looks better because it's got like all these chamferings in here, like chamfering on the outside, chamfering on the inside. It's like way more comfortable to flip. And yeah, but it's smaller, as you can see. They probably did that just to like account for the weight of the handles and stuff. And honestly, this thing flips a bit better in my opinion. Like I just like the balance more of the fans and stuff, because this one, it feels a bit wonky. Like it probably has too much tip weight or something, or needs more like end weight, because when I put like zippy end caps on the handles, it actually flips a lot better, but I just don't like the look of the zippy end caps. I think they're pretty ugly, but yeah. So let's get this one out of the way. But yeah, I'm trying to think like what else is there to say about this thing. Flips great, the price is great, honestly. Like price to performance is like top notch on this thing. And yeah, if you're just looking for a cheap Balisong that flips well and you're not sure like if you're gonna stay in the hobby, or you want like a cheap beater, you know, like if you want to take it outside, maybe this thing is great. Like if you want to, I don't know, take it to school or flip it in public, because like if this thing gets confiscated, it's not like you're losing a lot of money, right? This is like $20, so it's something like that you could like live with if you lost this one. About the steel, it says on here is 3CR13 MOV. I'm no steel expert, right? But I googled the steel, and apparently it's like a steel that's used a lot in knives. And when it's used in knives, it's hardened usually. And I would say that this is definitely hardened. Like it feels hardened. This is actually like, it feels harder than the original Blox Toys blade, because the original Blox Toys blade, when I got it, it was a bit bent and I was able to just bend it back with my fingers. Like that one is supposed to be hardened steel too, but I guess it's like not as hard as this one. So honestly, for the quality, like for the price, you're getting pretty good quality. I would assume the handles are hardened too, because they're actually like very stiff. You cannot bend these, or like not easily at least. Like I could bend these if I would go like full force and like squeeze here, but even like squeezing a little bit, nothing happens. So I would definitely assume that these are hardened too, which is very nice. So yeah, like overall for the price you're paying, this is actually like top quality. And just imagine like this thing in China, I've seen a guy on YouTube who has this, who made a review on it, and he's like local in China. It only costs $7 or like $8, right? So it's even cheaper there. And just imagine like for that price, what they were able to achieve is actually really crazy. I don't think there's like another Balisong that costs this little that actually flips this well. You can get like the cheap squiddy clones and stuff. Oh my god, I basically stabbed myself there if this was a real knife. But yeah, you can get like the cheap squiddy clones, but they don't flip as well. Also, like this belly is pretty good for chatters. Wait, let me see if I can get a good combo of chatters going here. Well, basically, but you get the idea. Like this thing chatters very well. Like it's heavy, but honestly, like the weight distribution is so good that you don't even really notice the weight. So yeah, this is definitely like something you're gonna have fun with. I wouldn't pick this over the Armchair Kraken, but like I said before, like judging by the price, like this thing is definitely very good. And if you like the look, then I would say go for it. Like there's no reason not to buy this. And who knows like how long they're going to be making this. Even though like I think they're not going to stop producing this for a while, because it's so cheap to make, and they probably do make a lot of profit on this thing. But yeah, great beginner flipper. Even good for like advanced tricks, and insane price. Let me just do this one to end the video. Oh, damn. Bro, I keep forgetting what I want to do at that point. Nah, there's no way. I gotta get this now. Alright. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And yeah, if you were thinking about buying this, you can go ahead. It's good. It's got my stamp of approval. See ya.